Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we want to learn about chapter 6.2 Development of pollen grains and embryo sac. The formation of pollen grains in an anther. The part of a flower that produces pollen grain is the anther. Development of the pollen grains. First, during the development of anther, a group of tissues grows inside each lobe to form 4 pollen sacs. In each pollen sac, there are hundreds of pollen mother cells, called microspore mother cells, which are diploid. Second, the microspore mother cell divides by meiosis to produce 4 haploid microspore cells. These 4 microspore cells are collectively known as tetrad. Each cell in the tetrad develops into a pollen grain. Last, the nucleus in the pollen grain divides by mitosis and produces 2 nuclei, namely the generative nucleus and tube nucleus. The wall of the pollen sac, which is thick and waterproof, breaks the pollen grain matrix. The pollen grains are released.
The formation of embryo sac in an ovule. Ovules are structures of a flower formed inside the carpel. Ovules develop from a layer of tissues inside the ovary. A single ovary may contain one or more ovules. The ovule attached to the ovary wall through a stalk called the funicle. The area of attachment of the funicle to the ovary is called the placenta. The placenta supplies nutrients to the ovule through the funicle. A mass of tissues inside the ovary develops, forming a lump called nucleus. The nucleus consists of parenchyma tissues. The nucleus tissues develops into 2 layers called the integuments. At the end of the integument, there is a little opening called the microphylla, which allows the entry of air and water into the seed during germination. One of the nucleus cells in the megaspore mother cells, or also known as the embryo sac mother cell, which will develop to form an embryo sac. The diagram shows the structure of a mature ovule. Development of the embryo sac. First, the megaspore mother cells divides by meiosis to produce 4 haploid megaspore cells. Second, 3 of the megaspore cells degenerates and only 1 megaspore cells develops. Third, the nucleus of the cell that has developed divides meiotically 3 times to produce a cell with 8 nuclei. And lastly, 3 nuclei move to the end of the embryo sac to form 3 antipodal cells. Another 3 nuclei move to the opposite end of the embryo sac and form 2 synergic cells and 1 egg cell. 2 nuclei in the center of the embryo sac form the pollen nuclei.